So a smart man once said, you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em. And there was a little bit more to it than that, but you get the idea. Never gamble on a train. So let's talk a little bit about gold and silver price forecasting and just good old-fashioned gut instinct. Now, they're not the same thing, but there's a lot of overlap. If we're being honest, forecasting is more or less an educated guess. The more you pay attention, the better the guess. And this all, of course, affects planning. When to go harder, when to hold back, but you're never going to fully anticipate what's coming, and you're never going to actually know if what you're looking at right now is a top or a bottom. You won't know until after the fact. Now, where's this coming from? Well, I talk about buy triggers here. A 10 or a 15% drop in price from a local high tells me to buy more gold. Well, what about the opposite? What would tell me to stop like I stopped in 2011? It's actually a pretty simple answer if I was to just say instinct, but that's not really helpful to anybody else. So let's look for the actual trigger because there is one in there. Now, just for background, I started buying in 2008, but not much. Like most people, I got more excited about precious metals on the positive movement. So I already had those few purchases, but I got more and more excited as the price gains got more and more exciting. Kind of like a T-Rex spotting its prey only if it moves. Well, I stopped buying gold right around $1,400. And if we look at the chart today, we know that that was a good place to stop because it ran up to the 1900s before falling off in 2013. So it might look like I predicted that correctly, but I should probably tell you what really happened. With gold, I didn't have set goals or a habit locked in at the time, so mostly this was instinctual. But if we flip to the silver chart from the same time frame, it's easier to show what triggered that feeling. I was buying silver frequently. It was just easy to buy a few ounces when I was in the area, but every time I would go into the coin shop to buy, the price had moved enough that I had this new sticker shock. Starting out, I could buy an ounce of silver for $15, and then it was $18, and it was $20, $25. And when it hit $30, basically doubling what I had initially felt was a deal and what I had normalized, I just felt like at that point I'd missed the run. And the difference between then and now is that change in price, that doubling, at least for silver, happened over the course of only a few months. So my trigger to stop buying both metals was gut instinct. There's a feeling like I was too late when the price of silver doubled, and that felt completely clear at the time. There was no question. I just kind of asked myself, what are you even doing here? So I didn't buy gold in the run from $1,400 to $1,900. I didn't buy silver above $28 in its run to $48. And I didn't buy again until 2 years later in late 2013. So the trigger to stop buying both metals was a doubling of silver price, something that made me look a little bit more critically at my whole plan. I missed it, but I continued to watch the prices, and I did jump back in when gold crashed 30% in late 2013. Now, that was not an instinct. That was a significant drop in price that made me think, hey, maybe now I can get back in. Not only had the price dropped 30%, but the price had dropped below the last time I'd purchased gold at $1,400. Now, let's get a quick shout out to Summit Metals. If you're looking for gold and silver, they've got a great place to buy it, summitmetals.com. Now, I mentioned the difference between then and now, 2011 and today. The price of gold has more than doubled since 2019. So has the price of silver. So should we be out? Well, in 2011, when I stopped buying silver after a 100% gain, that had happened in the span of about 6 months. Now, this time around, it's happened over more like 5 years, and we've seen slow and steady growth, not overnight swings of 25%. So the volatility here is just way different. For the sake of comparison, as recently as January of 2024, the price of gold was $2,000. Silver was $23. Now, we're 17 months out from that. Let's say we saw gold run to $4,000 and silver run to $46 by the end of the year. So 24 months to double. You compare that to 6 months in 2011, I would consider slowing down. And if we saw silver or gold double from today's prices in 6 months, there's no question I would slow down. I just don't think I would even call that instinct. I would call that not being able to afford it. So I think instincts serve pretty well in telling you when to hit the brakes entirely. These smaller moves or drawn out rallies, they're a lot harder to gauge. Gold has doubled from the 2018 levels, and that has slowed me down, especially recently, but this isn't like that quick run up in 2011. A similar spike at a blow off top would be a lot easier to spot. There'd be a doubling in 6 months, and Don't worry, if you missed that on the charts, well, I'll be on here yelling about it. I think it's a lot more likely that we'll see 10 to 15% pullback triggers before we'll ever see that 100% gain in 6 months, or even 50% gain in 6 months. And if I haven't explained that part in this one, well, those are the triggers that I use to buy more. So to make this comparison really clear, if I was using my 2011 strategy today, that would tell me to stop when the price of gold jumps 50% inside 6 months, or the price of silver doubles inside that same time frame, and then start buying again when gold drops 30% and silver drops 60%. So if you look at it like that, this forecasting thing isn't really all that hard. It's just a matter of paying attention, watching the charts, and listening to your gut. Okay, let's call it good there. Let us know what you're up to, whether you have levels that slow you down, levels that speed you up, or if you just go with your gut or your spouse's. Let us know. And then while you're in the comments, be sure to hit that like button if you found any of this interesting. Be sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you want to hear more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.